curious about the possibility of where I'm about to take you. And we will discover why I'm asking you to be curious as we get into this. So I think let's just dive in, and then know that you can put questions in the chat. Beth and Lala will be monitoring them. We will pause after we start doing a little bit of exercises and interact, whether confusion or you've got questions or you're noticing things. So let's just get started and then we'll go from there. All right, so hang on one sec while I get this going. All right, and so I call this, this course and the way that I'm teaching now, Your Magic Head. And it's a paradigm shift in singing. And you'll soon figure out why I'm saying that as we go a little deeper into the magic. So when we think about our singing, and then you can also sort of draw to mind things that you're challenged by, or maybe you've been challenged by. Maybe you're a trained singer and you're still dealing with one particular issue. Maybe you have been in Sweet Adelines for so many years and you've got lots and lots of information in your head, but sometimes some of it doesn't exactly coordinate. So let's start at the beginning. Most of us have an idea that we have to propel sound to a distance, all right? And usually we're looking at microphone, director, judges, audience, 10th row, exit sign. Some distance away from ourselves, depending on our personal experience. Now, what our body thinks is that air goes in, air comes up, makes magic, and exits the building. So air in, air up, makes magic, and goes out. And so we think of air like gas, like we're gonna go to the station, fill up our tank, and then we're gonna use all that gas all the way across the phrase, go back to the station, fill up the tank, and do it again and again. And there's this whole kind of repetitive fill, use, lose, fill, use, lose, all right? Now, the first big shift that occurs in this understanding is the next slide, okay? So heads go start scratching right now. So in Bel Canto, there is no out. There is no thrust, no upward force, no propulsion. We are going to turn on our resonating space within our own body and become optimal acoustic resonating instruments, which, by the way, are designed to amplify sound with absolutely no pressure and no force. So part of our brains, especially if we've struggled with the biggest issue in singing, which is breathing, this doesn't even make sense that there might be a way to turn on this mechanism in a different way and get higher level results. So tonight we're just going to dive into this methodology and see what you discover. So the first thing I'm going to direct you to is a kinesthetic sensation inside your body. Now, because some of you are visual learners, some of you are audio learners, and then some of you are kinesthetic, I've got to hit you all coming from different angles to try to hit your individual brains, all right? Because we all learn differently. But now let me just walk you through this first step. So exhale very gently. And I want you to think ah in the mind and just inhale inaudibly. Just inhale gently. And release. I'm going to do that again. Thinking ah, inhale gently. And release. Now I'm going to ask you to take your hands and you're going to do what I'm doing. You're going to, as you take in that breath very gently and inaudibly, I want you to pull your hands towards you and notice where your hands stop. All right, so here we go again, breathing in gently. And release. Now I'm going to call this particular moment that most of us have bypassed for years, the point of suspension. All right, so we're going to try that again. So breathing in gently. Hold still for me for a moment. You notice the inner room of the mouth is just open. The throat feels free and open, and the lungs feel open. Release. We're going to do it one more time. And I want you to notice that the moment that those muscles pause and your hands stop, the air has stopped moving as well. Try it one more time. And release. Now, what this, in the visual model that I've drawn for you here, the green line represents your pharyngeal mechanism. The pharyngeal mechanism is where every one of your vowels is formed. So now just for a quick little like feeling of that, do the same exercise, but now think E instead of ah. So release and think E and inhale gently with the hands, please. And you notice that the point of suspension is the same. If you're feeling it kinesthetically at this point, it's the same, but the shape is different. Now release one more time. And I'm going to take you to what I call the movie screen vowel, which is the ah sound. So ah like cat, thinking ah, breathing in gently. And you notice on the ah, it's like the whole mechanism sort of towards the back of the throat kind of opens up like a screen, okay? We're going to talk about something I call your inner crown. I need to write this down because I didn't put it on my paper here because I want to show you something really cool later. All right, now, this pulling in to a more optimal position internally in the mechanism is the magic point. And most of us, because of the way that we're used to breathing, so we breathe in and now we go to flow our sound out of us, well, we end up inadvertently collapsing the structure. We don't mean to. It's not anything we would have even known was there, but it's like we immediately start playing a game where there's a lot of chaos in our internal mechanism, all right? So when internal timing, or what I call inner timing, is off, these are the things that are going to appear in your sound. You may get constriction. You may feel like you have to push a bit for your high notes, or you have to collapse a bit or push a little bit for your low notes. You may feel that the middle of the voice, the transitional or passaggio areas, are problematic, that as you're singing, something goes left as you're trying to just do your business, right? Breathiness, raspiness, rattle in the sound, vibrato, tremolo, and even your uneven tone quality across your whole voice. So if you think about, yes, we can get great quality maybe as basses in our low range, but as soon as we move towards passaggio, it doesn't feel so good. Maybe it thins out. And then there's a point, obviously, for basses where you hit a ceiling and you're like, I ain't going any higher than that. And then for others of us that are higher, it's the opposite, so it depends on what your voice part is in barbershop, where you're going to feel the challenges in that particular way. But believe it or not, it's possible to get even and consistent resonance across your entire tessitura or range, okay? So in Bel Canto, all of these issues above are related to what we're going to talk about tonight: irregular air pressure moving across the vocal folds. So I like to say it's like hurricane force winds coming up from the south are causing the vocal folds to literally try to pedal to maintain control. Now let's see here. So the challenge fundamentally for us as singers is that we've got three different things happening in our body. They have to happen simultaneously in order for us to access free singing. So number one, of course, is representative of your vocal folds, all right, or vocal cords, your tone source. That's all they do, right, is they just produce a pitch or a tone. The pharyngeal mechanism, the green line, is what I've talked with you about before. That is where the home of your vowels is. That's where ultimately we're going to discover tonight that you might be able to control the entire evolution of your singing from that wall. And then the lips, the teeth, and the tip of the tongue. Number three, the gold cross, would be what I would represent as your onset articulations for your consonants. So that's where most of our consonant production, right, is produced here. There are some that are more back, we can think of those sounds as we're processing this a little bit, but don't worry about those right now. So in Bel Canto, what we're doing is we're becoming mindful and efficient with our inner timing. We're putting the instrument internally in an optimal position, and then we are suspending it and sustaining it in that position the entire phrase with absolutely no collapse, all right? So this is what we're going to play with tonight a little bit. Now, oh, sorry, I think I might have gone past one. Hang on. Whoops. How do I go back? Wait one sec here. I'm going to have to go back here. This guy. Sorry. Okay, now, the optimal internal stabilization of these muscles combined with your onsets is what makes all the magic work. So this picture right here is just showing you initially that the objective is the pulling back into a more optimal position and a more, I don't know if you've noticed this, but try it with your hands one more time. Breathe in gently. Hold still. You may notice how neutral you actually feel at this point. If you're feeling tension at this moment, chances are you've pulled too far back, as if almost going to the soft palate, which we're not even talking about tonight, because it will be intrinsically part of this mechanic, but it's not what we're focusing on to maintain control. So again, we're pulling in. And of course, as you see, that red arrow leading in is first step, is that the first piece is this wall, all right? And we are going to do a little exercise in a bit to show you a little mind bending trick. But now here's the second head scratcher, okay? What if the objective that we have as singers, if we were to step out of the paradigm of thrust and we were to move into the paradigm of pull towards self, this actually sets a whole lot of really cool stuff in motion, all right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of these pieces of the puzzle and why I even have discovered these things within myself. And then what we're going to do as we come out of this is talk about how the Italians were trained to sing and their air control, okay? Because there is a missing piece of the puzzle in American pedagogical practice. And it's not just Sweet Adelines or barbershop or the men's world or the women's world or anything. It is just in general, we have what I believe to be potentially an error thought. And when we correct that one error thought, we turn our voices on in an entirely different way. All right, so after this session, if you're curious about this, during COVID, I've been downloading as much video content as I can to my YouTube channel. So there, I'm Debra Lynn Bel Canto. You can find me. There's the Magic of You series and the Bel Canto Buzz series. So you've got almost 30 to 35 videos in there, breaking all of what I'm talking about down into really teeny tiny morsels. So you can kind of go in there and just poke around. On Facebook, I have Debra Lynn Bel Canto. And if you go there, that way you can actually interact with me there or through my website, debralynn.org, all right? And for those of you that may not know, the book that I wrote back in 2012 is called The Bel Canto Buzz, Beautiful Singing Made Simple. And I've just redone the 4th edition and it's just been translated into Spanish. So it's like, okay, so we've got new stuff out there in the world. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop share. Hang on a second here. And hang on. Okay, we're back. All right, so what I'd like to do is take you through 3 tiny little exercises before we sort of interact a bit, all right? Now, the first one, I'm gonna actually ask one question and see if somebody knows the answer in the room. And if you have not worked with me, I'd prefer it to be you first, okay? So if you've worked with me before and you know the answer, don't answer yet, okay? So does anyone know how Mario Lanza, Pavarotti, and Caruso were trained to control their air? Does anyone know? Okay, I'm looking at chat room number 1. I'm going to 2. I'm going to 3. Raise your hand if you know. Anybody know? Okay, great. So the teacher lit a candle and put it in front of the singer's mouth, and it was 2 inches away from the face. And then what do you think the teacher would have said? Someone brave? What would the teacher have said? Okay, so Beth, what was that? So don't blow it out, right? That's the first. We're like, well, just don't blow out the flame. That's the obvious. Okay, now here's the mind bender.
Don't move it.
Don't move, bend, or flicker the flame. Now, all you got to do, exactly, Wendy, exactly. It is that right there, you're like, okay, wait. If I'm going for a post and a forte on a lat, right, and my exit sign is there is no way that flame stands a chance of not being like toast, okay? So something was happening. Because if you listen to early Pavarotti, first of all, you'll hear what happens. It's absolutely exquisite. But your mind goes, well, that won't work if I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to do, which for most of us, how many of us are, I'm going to call this more Puccini method. Okay, it's actually current Italian day methodology, but how many more of us are more diaphragmatic in our understanding? It's like there's something going on with the diaphragm. I've got to do something, and I'm responsible for managing my air. How many are in the category, I got to manage my air? And sometimes I don't do that very well. You can add that piece, right? And isn't that like the most frustrating thing in the universe? On page 3, I'm just checking in with you all, right? It's like, this is the piece, okay? So what's the word? The word is compressione, okay? Compressione, compression. And they still, to this day, even though they've changed how they take in their air, this word still exists within the context of that world of singing. And without this word, the whole game changes. With the word, it's going to shift again. So what is compression? Compression is like a car. If any of you know about cars, if a car is going downhill and it has good compression, the car will naturally hold itself back going down the hill. But if the car doesn't have good compression, it's going to take off. It's going to rattle down the hill. Some kind of jerky effect, all right? Now, what we're going to do is a little game. So make sure you're muted. I'm pretty sure everybody is, but just for your own personal privacy, all right, just so you can do it yourself without anybody hearing you. I'm going to have you try a couple things. All right, we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to have you do is we're going to take our hand and we're going to pretend it's the candle and we're just going to sing like we normally sing. So you can pick whatever go-to song you want in your repertoire. All right, and you're just going to put your hand literally 2 inches away from your face and sing. And I want you to notice what you notice. Okay, just do a couple or 3, 4 phrases. Here we go. Awesome. So now how many of you all noticed that you felt air on the hand as you were singing? How many of you could say, yes, I felt something, okay? And for how many of you did it get more exacerbated on the consonants? Like you noticed there were certain consonants that pushed and forced it a plosive or a pulsing effect on the hand. Okay, so we notice, right? So certain consonants as we articulate get triggered and will exacerbate this thrust. So now I'm going to ask you to try something. I want you to try to go into the point of suspension. So let's refresh this idea. So you're going to breathe in gently. Feel that wall. All right. Your focus is going to be for just a minute here on keeping that wall more stable internally. All right. And then when you take a breath, just pull the wall back in and hold it still again. So for each phrase, you're just holding that wall still. And now put one hand in front of your mouth and do the candle flame. Okay, so again, whatever song you're singing is totally fine. So we're gonna breathe in gently, suspend and go. And release. Now, did anyone notice anything on that round? Sally Jeffrey, what did you notice? Do you mind sharing?
No, that was phenomenal.
Wasn't that weird?
It was very strange. It's like I sang the same volume, the same song, and felt nothing on my hand.
Yes. Yes, this is very exciting. Okay, so that, I mean, this is, all right, so anybody else, just raise your hand if you felt something different happened when I suspended and sang. Laura, you felt something. I'm going to go to my next page here. Hi, I see a couple. Anybody else on the second page over here I'm looking at? Did you feel anything shift from first time to second time? So Melissa did not feel anything. Okay, great. I'm going to have you go in. We're going to play a little. I call this the Swedish game. All right. We're going to do it one more time, but we're going to add a piece. So no matter what you were singing, what we need to know is that the English language has a rather serious problem. All right. And the Swedes do have an advantage over us. Okay. But it doesn't have to do with the fact that they're better singers. They may be better singers, but that's not what's causing this, the effortlessness and the free sound. Part of what's happening with them, let's go to one more piece of the Bel Canto here for a second, and then I'm going to take you to that. So can you all make a barbershop mustache for me? And I want you to press your fingertips into the gum line between your gums and your cheekbones. All right, you feel that indentation. All right, and I want you to just lift your cheek muscles up off the gum line. Yes, it's like you've either smelled something bad or you're now at a cocktail party and you can't remember someone's name who's coming towards you. You're in fake face. Okay, so now we're going to do fake face this time. And I'm going to have you do it one more time before we do the Swedish piece. Okay, so breathing in gently, keep your fake face, hand here, go. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Now, did anyone feel anything by adding the face into the equation? Wendy, you felt something. Wendy Cudmore, can you share what you felt?
Well, I still could feel I still could feel it on my fingers a little bit on certain vowels. I mean, certain consonants like
Yep.
P, but the rest was, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, it didn't. So again, impacting the air. Okay, so the facial engagement that directors have been hounding for how long? Forever and ever and ever. This is a standard practice within Sweet Adelines, right? Put your Sweet Adelines face on. And yet, as Americans, we, first of all, right now, we're all having challenges because we're dealing with the most absolute, unprecedented, challenging time in the history of at least humanity as far as our lifetimes are concerned, right? So emotionally, our bodies are being weighed down a bit by the circumstances of our lives. I highly recommend singing every day because it bypasses post-traumatic stress disorder or present tense stress disorder, which is what we're in right now. So,
Debra,
yes.
before you move on, we have a couple people in the chat saying, Melissa Scarpelli says that was crazy. It was easier to sing. Marcy says she kept better placement. And also that the second time there was less movement on the hand.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so we're going to, what's our time? What do we got? You know what, it's sort of like, this is one of those things because we're sort of in the luge is how it feels tonight, with it being the short. Here's what I'm gonna offer you all if you're on this call. If you're on this call and you wanna dig a little deeper in this after we're done, I want you to reach out to Lala or Beth, either one, let them know, put your name on a little list and I will do a full webinar for you. Normally I'm on for an hour to an hour and a half with this work. So we're moving faster, which means we're not gonna get to all the questions and the confusion, but just know that I'm happy to help you, all right? So we'll just do something spontaneous somewhere else, all right? And jump online. I'm doing this all the time right now and I love it, so great. I think the big piece I just need to say to you is this. Exhale for me very gently. Inhale gently. Hold still. You notice there's no movement of air right now. Release. Now keep the face. Think ah. Inhale gently. You can use your hands if you want to. Hold still. You feel that little tug backwards you're feeling as I ask you to hold that mechanism still. You're actually feeling like you have to hold something back to do it. All right, now release. Now one more time and just stay still for a second. Feel the tug, but then notice, I'm gonna have you notice the upper part of your body. So exhale again, inhale gently, sorry about all the breathing. Hold still. All right, now hold still. Your head, you're open and free. Your throat is open and free, and your chest is open and free. Release. Except that one thing is closed. Does anyone know? What's closed? Yes, Wendy Cole.
Would it be the nasal pharyngeal little flap that blocks air from going out your nose?
No, but that's a great answer, and no one's ever said that before, so yay, go team go. Go team go. No, okay, so try one more time. See if you can, because now here's the problem. Because we can't feel this, we don't exactly maintain control of it. We only feel something when it's wrong. We don't ever really feel what it's like when it's right. This is the biggest challenge we have as singers, all right? So I want you to do it again. See if you can figure this out. Release, breathe in gently, hold still. You feel open. Everything feels open, just like you've been trained to sing, except something's closed and it's right here. Your vocal folds are closed. Release. Now, I'm going to ask you all a question. You're behind the mic, so answer it any way you particularly like. I'm going to say, so how is your day-to-day? Just like, yeah. Okay, now who answered, did you take a breath before you answered me? The answer is no. Here's why. Because the vocal folds are always closed. Now this is where this science gets really weird. So the vocal folds, the placement of the folds, where we have an idea that they're open all the time, the reality is they're always in the neutral state of closure. They only open, feel them, go ahead and take a breath in. They opened to take that breath in. As soon as the air stopped, they were closed again. Now, what if, ladies, the objective to free, easy singing is not interrupting them while they're doing their job? I'm just going to say, what if it's that's, what if this, we can bypass the entire conversation about breathing by focusing on a muscle. So the Swedes, let me add the Swedes piece so that we get this in the overview. All right. Why do they have this? Now go back to the forward lift. Give me a little bit of fake face. And I want you to just, whatever the phrase was, the first phrase of the song you were singing, just say the phrase, but don't move your face. Bravo. Now drop the forward lift and say the phrase again. Now, did anyone notice that when you dropped your face and said the phrase, the sound went like this or this? Okay, so let me demonstrate it from my mic. So if I were, sometimes I'll demonstrate a little bit of the Julie Andrews. So I'm just gonna say the first phrase. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. Okay, so you can hear as I speak, every single syllable is collapsing in the English language. We are unaware of that process. Now, here's where the Swedes come in. Everybody go back to fake face. And let's just say whatever phrase you were just saying. I'll do the let's start. All right, so now we're going to inflect everything up as if we are suddenly very animated with our words and we mean everything we say. Here we go. And let's start at the very beginning. A very good, and you feel the sound does this, it goes that way. Okay, so now I'm going to have you try it with your, go to point of suspension, just do the simple one. You're just gonna breathe in, hold still, okay, and sing a phrase, but inflect up on every word. Let's see what happens. Exhale, inhale gently, and go. Bravo. So the focus of attention is on that pharyngeal wall. Now, are you getting any other chats in there or questions, Lala, at this point?
We have a question that says, how do you diminish the air with P's or J's, etc.?
Okay, so here's the weird, all right, so I'm gonna bring up my little.
Also, Debra, it's a 10-minute warning.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, cool. So, all right, so remember the arrow that's facing backwards. Okay, so this is where this is where the work makes a shift, all right? Now I'm going to take you, I'm not going to do it by brain. Let's do it by kinesthetic. Okay, let me give you, everybody knows the first phrase of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, correct? The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. That's all you're going to do, okay? So everybody sing one phrase of the Itsy Bitsy Spider and whatever key you want, go. Bravo. All right, so that's kind of a dashed line. All right, it's sort of staccato. Okay, so now let's take one arm and make it legato. So you're gonna make the line as you sing the first line of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, go. Bravo. Now, we're gonna add one piece. There's a big fuzzy caterpillar that's going to be on the top of that itsy bitsy spider. So it's going to be like the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Okay, here we go. Everybody with your caterpillar, go. Bravo. And now this one more time. And this time you're going to hold spout. Here we go. Ready and. Bravo. Now somebody tell me which direction that sound went. It went up. Okay, so this is what's crazy. We can catch our sound before it leaves the building and expand it. It literally, we're not even expanding it, to be honest with you, all as long as your head is open. And this is why the Swedes have an advantage over us, because if you've watched Runaga sing, all you have to do is go back to 2013 and watch the militaristic precision of their structure across every single face of 140 women. They are doing exactly the same thing structurally all the way across those risers.
So Deborah Lynn,
yes.
Someone asked, is the fuzzy caterpillar supposed to be like the up sound? What's
Correct.
this?
So what happens kinesthetically is because we're doing this with our body, our voice is actually paying attention, and it's like it's catching it and going up the nasal resonators right as you start. So I'll just demonstrate. So if I don't do it, I can kind of go, the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout, and kind of, I make it sort of smooth, okay? But as soon as I add this kinesthetic, the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout, spout. Now I expanded sound, I got louder, but I did not change my volume, and I did not change my air pressure. I maintained the integrity of the internal instrument. So I know we're sort of in the place. Check for other questions. If you've got a quick last question, we'll do it. I'm going to just give you a little wrap up as to why, and then let me just send you to my site if you're interested in trying to kind of dig into this a little bit or understand it, because I do start from the beginning. So 2 pieces. When I wanted to be a professional singer, and I faced a lot of difficulties in my life, both personally. At 17, I was in a very serious car accident. My face was scarred. I was told I would not have a career. So I had to battle for 10 years just to get past the fact that I had emotional issues associated with my singing. So I got a teacher as I turned, my Bel Canto teacher was my 6th teacher, and I was 28, 29 years old by the time I met him. By the time I finished with him at 33, I was 1 year too old to compete in the United States as an opera singer. So I had to go to Europe. I went to Europe, and I got to Europe, and I looked at opera, and I went, I don't want to be an opera singer. That's not where I belong. I have no idea why I now have this $40,000 education, because I'm not going to do it. So I turned around, ended up on Maui, had a lovely career. Everything was great. They loved me. It was great. And I left Maui, and I landed in barbershop. Now here's where the irony of my life is. My father was a barbershopper. He's recently passed. And he was trained under the sun tone. So the only thing I heard as a child was barbershop, and I was exposed to it quite young. So I knew the sound. I came back to the United States, landed in a women's barbershop chorus, and suddenly realized that everything I understood about Bel Canto was to help reinforce the ring and the resonance of barbershop. Because as soon as we can activate our internal structure like this, our ring zone and our resonating space, and suddenly we're using the ring and the resonators, these spaces optimally, without force and without trying. All you have to do is activate them by lifting them and holding more still. So let me just give you a quick little demonstration of how this works for me. All right, and then we'll finish up, and then feel free to reach out to me, because I am really willing to share this. So in my world, I'm basically doing this. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. Now, for me, that was one phrase. I'm holding this still, and we're holding back. So we're all going to do one last little exercise before we jump off. All right. Everybody knows Deck the Halls, right? Fa la 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 la. Okay, good. You're going to go to point of suspension. I call this one breath, one song. You're going to breathe in, and you're just going to go fa la 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 la. One breath. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'm not going to sing this time, so you can pick whatever key you want. All right, and let's see how many of y'all make it. Okay, here we go. So you're pulling into the point of suspension, and just so you know, you're pulling backwards at the ends of your phrases. Here we go. I'll help you. Ready? Bravo. Show of hands. Who made it? One breath. Laurel. Now, Laurel, I remember breathing issues. Gail, you made it. Yay. Okay, Carol, you made it. Carol Lee. Isn't that a little bit of a mind bender? It's like, how do we do that? Okay, what did we do? Oh, over here on these other pages. Anybody make it on one breath? One breath. Deb Barron made it.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So if you didn't make it on one breath, did you make it on 2? Did you have to just take one extra breath? If you had to take one extra breath, typically it's going to happen where we change and we pop up to those higher intervals. And right there, the body pushes a little bit and we lose a little bit of control. But the game basically is that we're pulling, and some of you have heard this before, but here's what's happening. When you breathe in and you suspend this wall, which is what I'm going to ask you to just play with, that start here. This is step one, okay? But when you do that and you feel that tug, you are doing something. You are pulling back on the what they call the back pressure of the folds. You're keeping them closed just by pulling backwards, just that ever so gently. As long as you maintain the suspension and you direct your consonants, this is going to go back to that question about plosives, you direct it as if you're talking to yourself. You implode your consonants instead of explode the consonants. Nothing goes past the face. So if you have questions, feel free afterwards, after you process this a little bit, feel free to reach out.
There is one question that it says, Patty asked, is the emphasis more on the vowels than on the consonants?
No, it's actually the opposite in Bel Canto. The only control, the only job that we actually have in Bel Canto is the precise and effective articulation of our consonants, but not with any glottal, there's not ever going to be a glottal, there's not going to be any pressure or force. It's all very natural and speech-like. So this is, again, you can play with this with the itsy bitsy spider to feel it a little bit. But what happens is our brains are brilliant. Our brains know the music. We've learned everything and everything's programmed in the software. If you pull in and become more stable internally, just literally feel the suspension before we get off. Exhale, breathing in gently. You're wide open. You're inside of your mouth, your throat, everything is wide open. The chest is wide open. Suspend that inner cello. Hold still, and then on the next breath, pull it in and do that again. And that's the game you play. So I hope you had fun.
Thank you, Debra.
Yes, it was great to be able
You guys, really quickly, this link, if you're going to be staying on for Gail's class, is the same link. So you can just go take your dance break and join back on here for Gail's class.
If you want to go to Jane's, go to the other link. And I'm putting in the chat, please everybody take a chance to look at this. If you click the link that I just put in the chat, that is a survey for Debra's class to give the region feedback on what you liked, what we can do differently, and all of your experience. So this will be for every teacher, so please fill out as many as you are able. And all classes resume at 8:10. Yep. So everybody take a break and we'll see you soon.
And feel free to go ahead and email me if you are interested in a full webinar or something with Debra Lynn. We'll try to gather up a class and try to present that somewhere down the future road for everybody, okay? Good to see everybody.
Thanks, Debra.
You're welcome. Bye, ladies.
Beth, do you have Debra Lynn's email address?
Gail, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I still, oh, Marion, I owe you a response to an email, which I'd rather talk to you about.